Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Am I? Yes, I am. I just talked. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you were going deep and philosophical there. And there's no place for deep and philosophical in video games. Come on. Keep your politics out of it, man. Just kidding. So, usually we jump straight into click pitch, but I believe, Trevor, you have maybe a bit of a game to pitch that we might want to discuss, an idea that you had this week.
So, I had this idea after listening to our debut album from Kurodust. There was a song in there that just gave me an idea for a good adventure game. So, let's just see where it goes. So, in this game, you play a hypnotist. And I'm just picturing that the verbs are just different hypnotic suggestions that you can give to people.
Okay.
And just the idea of sort of like this hypnotist going through sort of like a day in the life sort of thing, and there's some weird hijinks that sort of happen around it. I'm sort of almost thinking that he's not going to be like a cop or anything like that. I'm thinking he's almost going to be like a petty criminal. Okay.
Is he like a stage hypnotist who does this for a job, or he's just like found a book on like Hypnosis 101? And is taking advantage?
Well, I think the idea is open to whichever way you'd like to go.
Okay. All right, so that's an interesting idea. I do like the idea of basically all your interactions within the game are making other people do things, as opposed to it's not your standard like pick up inventory items and have discussions and use things yourself. It's all of your interactions are with people and hypnotizing them to do something.
Yeah, having conversations and choosing, certain responses to that. Maybe you can see in there some highlighted words that you can sort of go down. That is just the power of suggestion as to what you want someone to do.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. It does come with some challenges around making sure our main character isn't just like taking advantage of all these people in this horrible way that they have no control over, consent and all that. But I do, the suggestion thing is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about hypnosis is that if you really don't want to do something, you will physically not do it. I know because I've actually been hypnotized myself, as we've talked about on the
I know. Yes.
On the podcast before, whether it was this one or whether it was Two Sweary Dads, I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
Go listen to Two Sweary Dads, all 32 episodes now on Spotify. At least they should be.
I think so. I don't know if I submitted it, but I'll have to now. Yeah. No, go. Yeah, no. I guess it depends on what direction we're going. If it's sort of the cliched version of hypnosis and hypnotic suggestion, where you can like make people clock like a chicken for the rest of their lives, or like just basically how far down that path we go. Because I feel like to make it fun, you would have to use a bit of that, right? You want to be having an actual effect without having to take too much else into account. Yeah. But maybe it is around setting up certain conditions. Maybe it's that you can't just make people do things they completely don't want to do. It's like finding the hook that sort of tells you through conversation that like that there is something they want to do, and then convincing them or giving them the suggestion that doing the thing you want them to do will help them get what they want.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
I can kind of imagine that, someone's talking about how they've always wanted to sing in front of people, and then you suggest to them that they actually start singing, and that gives you sort of like a distraction to go do something else. Yeah,
so maybe it's like hooking into parts of their conversation. It's funny, so I've been watching Lucifer, which I know you've watched.
Mm-hmm. Great show.
And he's got his little trick where he can have people tell
what
him
you
their
most desire.
Yeah. And so it's almost a little bit like that. It's like teasing out what it is they actually want that they are sort of afraid to do or can't do for some reason, and then, like using that hypnotic prod to put them in the right direction, but doing it in a way that means they give you the key that you need.
What I kind of like is that you can
the cash register open.
You can also like maybe have some disguises that he sort of puts on. They're kind of just shitty disguises, but it's still like kind of like the Scarecrow from Batman, how, it's just a normal sort of sack that he has over his head, but when he uses that
Right.
hypnotic sort of poison, he turns into like this evil sort of thing. I kind of like the idea that you can almost use, the hypnotic suggestion that, yes, you got a shitty clown mask on, but now that they're under your thing, they actually believe you're a clown and you're not actually the person that you appear to be, or something along those lines.
Yeah. I do like the idea of, so you can still have some inventory puzzles, but yeah, that's around putting together these disguises. Like, you just have to have the bare minimum of something that would vaguely look like or slightly convince someone that you're a party clown or
you're a police officer
or whatever. Yeah. You just need like something shiny on your chest and a hat.
Yep.
And then that's enough to kind of give them that prod of, I'm a cop, and they go, oh, you're a cop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
I like the idea of going down that route. And yes, you're sort of like an anti-hero sort of thing. You're a petty criminal and that sort of stuff. But as you go through the game, I'm thinking that you can actually come across like a supernatural sort of plot that is actually happening, and you're like one of the only ones who can sort of use your hypnosis to sort of save the world or save your little corner of the.
Perhaps I kind of like the idea of keeping it a bit more mundane, and it's more about the journey of this guy, and like maybe he falls in love with someone, but because he's used his hypnosis on them, he's struggling then with whether it's real or not, and then having to come across the consequences of his own actions, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And realizing, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't just like use hypnotic suggestions on everyone out there, because it's gaslighting them, or it's creating situations where they don't know what's real, and then when that happens to him, there's some interesting stuff you could do that for sure.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of there being like a antagonist who's also a hypnotist.
Yeah, well, that could be a good way to juxtapose the different uses of it. And I mean, none of them are good, really. Like, if you're literally making people do things against their will. But yeah, like this guy, I guess by trying to do it in a way that the person gets what they want, it feels a bit more, a bit less skeezy. And then I guess if he's trying to take down that antagonist, because I'm picturing this antagonist as basically like a pickup artist style, like totally scamming people and thinks that he understands the human psyche because he's got a few tricks that have worked sometimes.
But he's also working for the cops. So it's, sort of like he's doing bad shit but for the cops, and it's like a lot worse than what you're currently doing.
Well, it's totally the thing a cop would probably do.
Take advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Plant drugs and make them believe it was theirs.
Oh, God.
That could be interesting, actually. Maybe you see it happen, and that prompts you to learn. But because you've only just learned it, that's why you're not actually powerful enough to really make people do things they don't want to. This other guy does, basically, somehow. Like, again, we know that that's not how hypnosis really works, but in the world of this game. And so, yeah, you're having to kind of fight back by doing it in this sort of semi, I don't know, what's the word? Semi-good way. That's not what I was trying to find. Less problematic way. To actually sort of help people, but at the same time, you get what you want.
Less shitty.
And that might mean breaking the law as well, but you're not hurting people, right? Like, it's petty crime, as you said.
Yeah, it's all petty crime, whereas you're not trying to get away with, murder or
Yeah, like pure corruption or things that step on others to get what you want. You're helping others to get what you want, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I think there's some cool stuff there.
Yeah, I think there's.
Well, yeah, I don't know if we'll run into that for the whole episode as we sometimes do with these point and clicks, but since we're in a bit of a point and click mood since we started, and since you and I in the background, which I think we've mentioned on this podcast, are kind of working on our own little point and click adventure, maybe we do a click pitch where we make point-and-click adventures, which I think we've done once before as well.
So in other words, we can go very heavily narrative. Yay!
Yeah, exactly. World-building narrative, we don't have to think about game mechanics. Let's go on. It's been 148? Where are we up to? I don't know. Nearly 150 episodes. It's hard to come up with new game mechanics every week, but just coming up with new stories
it's fun.
is a bit easier.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's do that.
3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. Teach.
Hill.
Teach Hill?
Yes.
Okay. So my mind immediately went to some sort of like mountain troll, like hill troll or something.
See, my mind went to Haunting of Hill House. And then I'm just picturing a teacher or, some sort of nanny coming to look after the kids and just getting scared shitless.
Oh, no. When you said that, my mind went to you are a ghost teacher at ghost school. So, or you're a student at ghost school and there's like, opening cupboard doors 101 and... learning, horrific faces and the different, especially Harry Potter, it's Hogwarts but for ghosts instead of wizards.
And given what happened in Haunting of Hill House all over the goddamn place, it's hiding in that one little spot that you can just be seen by cameras.
Yeah.
It's standing very still.
Exactly, where you're only going to be seen after 30 seconds of standing still as the audience makes out a figure. Well, that's totally it. It's like understanding the shadows of a room for the the most effect.
Yep.
I like that idea. There's some fun stuff we could do there.
Yep.
Let's dive into that a bit more. I think you're a student there.
Okay.
I think we go down the tropey kind of. You've got your little gang of misfits who meet in the first year and become friends.
Mm-hmm. One is kind of got like a little scar, but not in the shape of a lightning bolt.
Well, they're incorporeal, so I'm not sure they have scars. They might have emotional scars.
Yeah.
And they may come across visually on their, as they gain control of their sort of ectoplasmic manifestation. So, all right, let's go to this. Is this a school for teenagers who have died as teenagers, or is it a school for all ages who have just died and are learning to haunt? Do all ghosts go to here to learn to haunt, or is it like, is there this whole big world of ghosts out there and haunting is like a specific kind of skill set I think, that only some of them do?
I think kind of similar to, in the Harry Potter universe, how you got like a wizarding school in London, you got a wizarding school in France, you got a wizarding school...
Oh yeah, I think it's regional too, for sure.
I'm liking the idea that this is like an Australian wizarding, not wizarding school, an Australian ghost school. So it turns out that when you die, no matter how old you were, you return back to like early teenage years, until you decide, how old you actually want to be for your ghost. Right.
Okay. Until you gain back. Okay. So we can do some sort of mumbo jumbo, I was going to say techno babble, but it's not really technology. It'd be just like ecto babble. There you go. Some sort of ecto babble about how when you go through puberty, that's when your sense of self is strongest.
Yep.
And so the spirit naturally
reverts back to
manifests.
Yep.
Manifests as that. Yeah, when you die, when you're a newly born ghost, and then part of one of the things you learn at this school is learning to gain control over your ectoplasmic manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
A term I've just created, but I like. And like that can be one of the specialties, right? Like people who are good at that are the types of ghosts that can, like the fucking library ghost in Ghostbusters can contort themselves and make themselves into these, grotesque versions of themselves. Not everyone can do that. Some people have to just move stuff around, or like, some people are better at moaning and groaning.
Some people are better at becoming like a Slimer.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I fucking really like this game. Because there is a lot of just ghost lore to draw from and be funny about.
Yeah. You got your Beetlejuices, you've got
Yeah, you've got your Ghostbusters, you've got your more serious ones.
Yeah, the Haunting of Hill House.
Sixth Sense or Haunting of Hill House or The Others or something,
Oh, I love The Others.
You've got your Caspers, you've got your... I don't know.
Casper from last week.
So let's think characters. Shall we stick with the standard 3 main characters that these stories tend to do?
Yeah, but you get to choose which of the 3 characters you play. So there's a little bit of choice at the start.
Well, okay, here's what I was thinking. Because I was going to say, let's not go the standard, 2 guys and a girl, because that's always the way it goes.
Yeah, 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place.
2 girls and a guy. Or it can just be, you choose your character, you can choose a gender, or you can just make yourself, or we can just go completely non-gendered. Even.
Yeah, you can go non-gendered, and then, it's basically your personality that chooses which character you sort of play. So there's always 3 characters. One's sort of neurotic, one's brainy, and one's, actiony or whatever. And then you can sort of go down either one of those paths by choosing your personality. Well, I don't know that we want to... I was more just trying to make it, obviously, open for all people. I think your character is... The personality is relatively well defined. It's more just the visuals. Mm-hmm.
So maybe we just give you some, different hairstyles and ways you can look and not be gendered about it. And then you've just got, a boy, a girl, ghost, and a girl ghost who... are your companions, and they're the same characters every time.
Okay.
Because if we're going strongly narrative, then we obviously want to do some strong characterization.
Okay, but to really fuck it up, one of them is a ghoul. So you got 2 ghosts, a ghoul,
one's a ghoul,
2 ghosts and a ghoul, and a laundromat. I don't know. Just coming up with two guys, a girl, and a pizza place joke. But
I gotcha. Well, the place will come in. Maybe one of them died in a pizza place or a laundromat or whatever.
And is, kind of looks like Ryan Reynolds, but not.
Well, the ghoul is definitely super hot.
Yeah.
But also ghoulish.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between a ghost and a ghoul in this world?
Well, ghouls are actual, physical manifestations, as in, they can fully touch, whereas ghosts can go through shit.
Okay, are they still someone who's died?
Yeah, still someone who's died, and I think in this case, in this lore, basically, they're almost like a zombie, but retained all their memories, sort of thing. So they're kind of ghoulish.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So is there some reason then that when someone dies, they would come back as a ghoul as opposed to a ghost?
I'm just trying to think whether we can come up with some sort of reason as to why this person was somewhat resurrected, as it were, but
yeah, maybe it comes down to the circumstances of death.
Yeah.
Something around if they were or maybe it's around if there was an attempt at, because I'm thinking how Frankenstein, it's electricity that brought the body back to life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's if they had a fucking, what do you call the zappers, the cardio thingies,
defibrillator.
Defibrillator. Maybe nobody obviously in the living world has realized this, but the people who are defibrillated, it puts enough juice back into their body that the ghost can't escape, and so they come back as ghouls instead. Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of just having this difference of one of your friends is a ghoul, and therefore, they're continually having to eat corpses and eat flesh and all that sort of stuff.
Well, and I love the idea that obviously certain things we've already talked about don't apply to them. Then they don't have any control over their manifestation because they're just in their body and it's rotting, and so they have to go to taking care of your rotting corpse class and find ways to preserve it as long as possible. Reattaching limbs 101.
Yeah. But also the core courses of standing in the corner is still all good.
Yeah,
but it's standing in the corner and hiding the smell. That is that is the key component
letting a
of the
smell
ghoul.
out when it's appropriate to be most scary and not just most humorous. That's actually a real big problem with ghouls. Is there's a lot of gas build-up, and if they don't learn to let it out at scary times, they just become a laughingstock.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost many good ghouls to clownery that way. I do like this idea, though, that haunting isn't the only job, right? Just like how in Harry Potter, you know, they don't all become auras or whatever. There's a whole world of jobs in this. Depending on what classes they take and how well they see to different things, they'll do different things out in the ghost world.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is in the wizard world, in that case, then this is the same case in the ghost world here. Haunting is like the superstar, you know, job. That's what you want. Because the best haunters are celebrities and famous. But,
okay, so
you know,
what people don't realize in this world is the whole way electricity actually works throughout the most part. It's all ghost powered. So elevators are just a whole heap of ghosts pulling up, you know, the box when you hit buttons.
Wait, so they work for humans?
They're working in the world.
I mean, for the living.
Yeah, I think it's. No, I think that's how original technology was, and then electricity came along. Okay, all right. That I like that a bit better. So there's still some jobs where, basically, yeah, where ghosts are hired as such. Are they living creatures, living beings out there who know they're hiring ghosts, or is this like a service that is provided by ghosts? I'm picturing that it's sort of like the heads of state in your area know everything about the ghosts. Right.
So similar to how, like, again, just making the
leap over to Harry
comparison, how like the Prime Minister of the UK would talk to the Minister of Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Minister of Ghosts and Ghouls. The head of
haunting. Yeah. The Governor Ghost General. Talks to their heads of state, and they make deals around, all right, what, you know, maybe ghosts fix things and make certain things run that we don't otherwise know how they run or something. Mm-hmm. They keep the bumblebees up in the air. I don't know.
Yeah, and I suppose the reason why, you know, they don't want everyone knowing what actually happens is because you know, not everyone can handle the fact that there is no afterlife. It's basically you're always on Earth.
Right. There's no afterlife, like, based on how good or bad you were.
No.
It's just, no, now you've just got your next life. There's the next life, not the after. Like, I guess it's still technically the afterlife. It's just now for eternity, and
but I kind of like the idea that ghosts can die as well, and no one knows what comes next, and they
right.
so everyone's sort of like not wanting to actually disappear because they don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't.
Is it as easy as a human can die, or does it take a bit more work? Does it take an exorcist? Like, is it some sort of spiritual?
Yeah, and I think there's some human things that actually can cause, you know, the ghost to disappear. Ghouls
maybe it's still around electricity, like the same way that electricity keeps a spirit in the body upon death. Maybe electricity does something where it tries to connect the spirit back to the body, but the body's gone, so it just tears the spirit apart. You know what I mean?
What I do kind of like is you can almost have this thing of ghosts have only really been around. Like, you can't find a ghost that is any older than, like, the turn of the century when electricity started coming into play.
You're saying that ghosts are actually a recent thing?
Yeah, I'm liking the idea that, you know, there's sort of like the earliest ghost that you can find, and part of this whole thing is that you actually find out that, you know, ghosts have only been around as long as electricity's been around. And so it's something to do with electricity that's actually causing the ghost to stay on this mortal plane.
How would we explain that? And how would we reconcile that with the whole ghoul thing?
Well, the whole ghoul thing of the ghost being caught in the body is part of the reason as to why the electrical fields around this area cause the ghost to still remain locked to the planet. The electricity.
Okay, so there's some sort of like electromagnetic radiation is what causes spirits to stick around or something. Okay.
And I'm thinking that where you could actually end, this sort of thing is like a huge like EMP goes off in this one area and all the ghosts disappear.
Just kills all the ghosts. Yeah, look, that could be an interesting. I like this as a general world building lore thing. I think if we're going to like talk about the specific story of the game and the characters, that I want to bring it down a level from the very existential level of why ghosts are there. But yeah, I think particularly having an EMP kill ghosts is an interesting thing, and look, that makes things like the nuclear weapons are just as devastating to the ghost population.
Oh yeah,
as to the human population.
Yeah, they can be. Maybe one of the history classes talks about how there's no ghost that can be found in in Japan from before like 1943 when the bombs dropped. Right. The earliest ghosts over there are actually from 1944 onwards, and just giving a little bit of history,
some hints towards that. Yeah. All right. Well, let's dig into the characters a bit more, because I would like to. If this takes the whole episodes a bit, because I'm enjoying this idea.
It's a cool idea.
It's really cool. I really like it. So let's think about the characters. Let's think about what killed them. And then let's think about the journey that they go on in the first episode of this new franchise we are creating.
Mm-hmm.
So your character, I think, should have a name, but like I said, we won't gender them.
Terry, because it can be...
Terry's good. Scary Terry.
Yep, it can be either with a Terry or Teri sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
I think either way you can, that's fine. And you can choose how to spell it.
Yeah.
And so you've got your pals. What's Terry? How did Terry die? How did your character die? Obviously in a way where they weren't going to be resuscitated because they're not a ghoul. They are a ghost.
I'm thinking that you don't find out straight away, but you find out later on down the track that Terry died peacefully in her sleep at the ripe old age of 85 or something like that. So
okay, well, how much do these ghosts remember then? Do they not?
They kind of know where they lived, and
like sort of how. Do they know how long they lived though? Like, do they have memories of people? Like their life when they were alive?
Yeah, I think you can have almost like an unreliable narrator that, just in the fact that they look young, that doesn't mean that they died young, if you know what I mean. So you
of course. But I'm just wondering, like, when Terry, emerges as a ghost, did they just go, oh, fuck, I guess I died in my sleep at 87. I had a long life. What happens next? Or is it like, where am I? Where am I? I know my name. I've got some ideas about my life. I don't know how I died.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe a thing that you actually see from the first moment that they're turned into a ghost and they're sort of learning about the world and all that sort of stuff. And after a while, they sort of get told, okay, so you were actually 85 years old and you died here, and that's when your memories start coming back as to your family.
Okay, all right. So maybe it's one of these
like
things where,
amnesia sort of thing that every ghost goes through.
You're reborn. You don't remember. You know a bit about yourself. You've got sort of your self-realization and your name and that sort of thing. But again, it's maybe from when you were a teenager, mostly.
Yeah.
If out in the real world you run into things from your previous life, then it can jog memories.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, I think, okay, so maybe then I like the idea that there's some sort of group. There is a job, and this is one of the jobs you could become through this ghost school, who are patrolling the world constantly to find people who have just died, like to find fresh ghosts, because maybe it's that like the ghosts that really cause pain to people and sort of they're like vigilante haunters are those who don't get scooped up and brought into kind of the ghost civilization. They find themselves memoryless in this place, but they soon start seeing fragments of their life. Things start coming back to them. They start getting angry and confused. They destroy. They
start resenting the living, and that's when
Yeah, and so
they cause harm.
There's this team of ghost trusters. No, that's terrible.
And then there's another team called Ghost Lusters, and they're all lusting after
that's
ghosts.
Just the sex lines. Yeah. That's just the ones that's just actually just humans with ghost kinks. And they exist. But no, I think there's this like if a ghost sees a human die, maybe there's a little bit of time before the ghost manifests. You just sort of start seeing the like ectoplasm leaking in that area, or like converging on that area or something.
Yep.
And so they can like call in this team to bring them in and take them to one of these schools or maybe there's sort of facilities. There's like a waiting room. Maybe you just wake up in a waiting room. Like that's the first thing you remember. It's a little bit good place.
Yep.
But
I think it's like a gothic castle sort of thing. So it's not so much a normal waiting room, but it's more of like a you wake up sort of on a bench in like a gothic castle, and someone walks out.
Or and this is going back to the mundane if we wanted to do this, but I like the idea that it is just sort of a regular office, but it's just permanently decorated like it's Halloween. With like shitty decorations and stuff.
Shitty skeletons, and then like one of the skeletons starts to talk, and it's actually like
that's when it's yes, it's someone who works there. You're just looking around the room. It's like paper mache bat, hanging skull head made of plastic. Oh, this really quite realistic looking skeleton. Whoa, just moved. And called your number.
Number 1253. Yes, that's me.
And so you kind of get a little bit of a... you've got this little intro. It's like this rundown. It's like, so you've died. Welcome to the world of ghosts, and we're going to send you to the school, and here are your roommates. And welcome, Terry, ghost number 30,299,450,621.
What I was thinking is
it probably wouldn't be that many.
As you start going through, you find out that like the skeletons that move around, they used to be ghouls, but they let the body rot too much, and
they're just
now a skeleton with it turns out that because they're not fully destroyed, they do actually still somewhat exist.
Absolutely, they're still animated. I think before long, after long enough, any ghoul just becomes a skeleton, an animated skeleton. Because it's basically that their spirit is bound to that flesh and not flesh parts of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that idea. So you generally know that a skeleton, an animated skeleton, has been dead for a while. Although there are those that are irresponsible and just don't take care of their flesh.
I'm just picturing that like one of the ghouls got sort of like caught, and by I'm thinking almost like a forensic sort of almost a bones like sort of thing where they cleaned the bones off. So after they did all the analysis and try to find out, when they threw the bones out, then the ghoul, started looking and goes, "Oh my god, I'm just bones now."
Something happened where it took that long for the spirit to like wake up in the bones.
Or they were just so scared of well,
they just stayed there the whole time. They just sat still.
And it's like, oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah, that can be like a horror story they tell. Like if the team, which we need to find a name for the team who goes around and scoops up the freshly dead, but yeah, like this person wasn't, and so they just maybe they were trapped somewhere, right? Their body was trapped somewhere for a long time, and they just were trapped in the body, and then they'd spent so long there lying still that they just let these people dig them up and do their research on the bones, and then throw them, in a case or whatever, and then they managed to pull themselves together literally and climb out.
Yep.
They're still missing quite a few bones.
Okay, so...
All right, so Terry...
Well, I'm just wondering, we've said point and click, so is a lot of this going to be sort of more telltale-y, dialogue-y sort of stuff with some interaction with inventory? Is it going to be...
Yeah, good call. I mean, obviously quite a lot of dialogue. When I say point and click, I'm usually defaulting to either
LucasArts.
2D LucasArts-esque, or like happy to do 3D in that, but the gameplay generally that sort of
3D Grim Fandango.
Yeah, perhaps. Dialogue puzzles and inventory puzzles as the main kind of gameplay, particularly with comedic game like this.
Yeah.
So okay. So I like that idea that basically maybe once they finish high school or whatever they call it, there's kind of like they take a year to, it's sort of like a bit of a quest, a bit of a
it's almost
a walkabout or something.
It's almost like a Rumspringer / mission, sort of like
it's like a gap year.
I was thinking just like the Mormons sort of go off and try to convert more ghosts and that sort of stuff.
Well, no, because what I was going to say is I think you go off and you find how you died. You find out about your life.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, the school is to prepare you for being a ghost and what you might find out there. And then you can go out and now you're, like, capable of dealing with the things that you're going to find and you past, like, your previous life and who's still alive and who's dead. And, if you do find that some people are dead, you might be able to meet up with them again and that sort of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So you could have some really cool stories. And I'm thinking long-term here because this, as I said, this is totally a franchise.
100%.
You could have some stories where, like, someone comes back who has already been through the school process but has found out that whether it's Terry or one of the other main characters, like, was someone from their previous life but who died first.
Yep.
And then has somehow found out that they've also died and comes back to find them, and even though that's against the rules because they're not meant to, interfere with the schooling process, and you can have some cool drama there.
Yep. Okay, so I'm just thinking, like, how I want the first game to end, because, as we said, this is like a huge franchise that is going to go for multiple games.
Multiple episodes, for sure. Well, do we do the Harry Potter style thing of it being, like, a single year?
Yeah, I do kind of like that. Having a single year, sort of like a little bit of stuff happening at the school and, sort of is part of the larger story of what's going on.
But it's mostly school drama. It's mostly, learning about the world, some drama within the school, learning what the school is for, and then a hint of the bigger story that's happening in the ghost world outside.
Yeah. And you got the history of ghost kind and that sort of stuff that you can give off a little bit of this background as to what's sort of causing the ghosts. It's not necessarily it's not something that's spelled out for you, but it's more something that if you wanted to read into it and you were interested, you could actually find that.
I think it's a mystery, right? Yeah. Like, there are ghost scientists studying it, and there are maybe even human scientists studying it. There might be, like, at the high levels of government, a joint task force of humans and ghosts and ghouls working to figure out, like, where did ghosts come from? Why in the past, 100, 150 years have they started occurring? And they know it's got something to do with electricity just from the correlation, but they're trying to figure out the actual physics of it and stuff.
Yeah, I do kind of like the idea that in the first episode, like the headmaster, something happens electricity-wise, and the headmaster actually passes away.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like that thing of he's been your sort of guide and kind of like in a Harry Potter way of...
Yeah, Dumbledore-esque kind of situation.
But he dies in the first... not the first act, but like maybe the end of the second act.
Near the end of the first episode. Yeah, all right. Well, let's think about the other characters who are your friends. So there's Terry. We'll figure out what their kind of specialty is. I think one of the three does then need to be a bit of a science nerd, right?
Yep.
And so they're the ones who kind of, they're interested in this and they bring it up of like, we don't even know where, how ghosts come about, but it correlates with, with the rise of electricity and, blah, blah, blah. They've been doing the research and they've got tons of books on it.
Yep. I'm seeing like a grumpy old teacher who's kind of like a Snape-esque sort of character. But the secret connection between you and that character is like the Snape-esque character is actually your son who died in the car accident many, many years before, and you were sort of estranged.
Yeah.
And so he knows all about you, but of course...
he recognizes you from like the photo. He knew what you looked like as a teenager.
Yeah. No,
that's cool.
I thought that idea would be kind of cool, and flipping it on its head, sort of with the Snape dynamic.
Yeah.
That the estranged son sort of thing, not liking his father or mother or whatever.
Yeah, parent. Yeah,
yeah. That could actually be a bit of a shock for the end of like maybe the second episode or something like that.
I don't know. You could even put that in this episode. It could be something that's revealed near the end where, like all through the game so far, he's been a real prick.
Then again, when you think about it, like Snape wasn't really revealed until the end of the 7th chapter.
No. I guess it just depends on we don't want to mirror Harry Potter completely.
No, but you also don't want to. You don't want to blow your load in the first episode.
No, but I think we've got a lot of load to work with here.
Slide me.
Oh God.
I'm just picturing
we do need to think about how adult we make it as well, or what sort of adult humor we put in there. So yeah, I think we've got the kind of nerdy archetype.
Yep.
And then you've got, I don't know, do we have the bumbler, or is there like a jock type, or like an arty sort of type? Like, how are we sort of splitting up these roles? I think obviously the other ghost needs to be the nerdy one because they're super interested in ghosts.
Yep.
And then maybe the ghoul is kind of a bit goth, like arty.
Yep. Arty and somewhat clumsy. Because, they're actually in the physical world sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you as a ghost, float through the door, the other ghost floats through the door, and the ghoul just smashes into it.
They're constantly bumping into it. All right. So I think the girl ghost is the nerdy one.
Yeah.
The guy is the ghoul. Because then you can have some good jokes about like girl ghoul similarity.
Yeah.
All right, girls. Did you say ghouls? No, girls. And then Terry is. Let's just think of their.
Well, Terry's either guy or girl, but not cool.
Yeah. No, but I'm thinking of their personality. Do we just go that they're like the chosen one and they're super good at everything, or do they struggle a bit? Like, are they actually not very good in their classes? I mean, that's kind of like Harry Potter anyway. He wasn't great at his classes. Like, what's their specialty, I guess? What do they end up really exceeding on? Is it that they are going to be good at haunting, or is there another role?
I kind of like the idea that they're good at haunting, but not much else. So they don't understand the science behind everything. They sort of...
they've got like an instinct for it.
Yeah, and that can come back to like something in their life that actually, meant that they were actually good at scaring.
Yeah, okay. Maybe they were a teacher, or a clown,
or a hypnotist.
Yeah, seek role. Okay, and so let's think of the arc then of the story. So Terry, you got the sort of little intro, and again, whether we do Gothic Castle or other, or a bit more mundane, or like obviously even if it's in a Gothic Castle, it's still going to feel like a DMV, like you're going to take a number, and I do actually like the juxtaposition of it being this very everyday kind of government building in this.
Yeah, I kind of almost think that it's like, yes, it's a Gothic castle. Yes, it's done up with really shitty Halloween decorations. But then when you exit that room, it's sort of like it was the only room that they actually did up as the castle, and everything else has got like plasters.
And the rest is just. Yeah, the rest is just, it's at the corner.
Yeah, it's like a typical school building. It doesn't actually have, the high arch ceilings and that sort of stuff. It's like, right. Yeah, we spent all the money on the welcoming room.
Well, we just do that to make people, to meet people's expectations, and then we let them down gently. Either that or all that stuff is up just because it is Halloween. They just celebrate it too. Okay, so Terry goes out, gets explained to that, all right, you've died, you're at ghost school.
You have not gone to heaven, you are actually still on Earth.
There is no heaven, there is no hell, as far as we are aware. You're still on Earth, you can't be seen by the living, yet.
Unless they're really, really high.
Yeah, there is a correlation between drug use and being able to spot ghosts, but we haven't really taken advantage of that yet. But you will learn to take control of your ghostly self. We will teach you and prepare you for life out there as a ghost.
Those out there who still have a body, yes, you are technically dead. Yes, you are still going to be held into your body. This is it for you. You're going to always have your body, and this is a skeleton sort of talking or something like that.
Well, I think you find that out from when you meet the ghoul. Like, I think you obviously get the spiel for ghosts, and it's like, all right, you've been assigned to dorm, the Casper dorm, and they're all named after famous ghosts. And you're in room 2F, and you can go there and meet your roommates. And so then, like, the next scene is you go there, and you've got some scenes with. We need to come up with some names. The ghoul, who is boy's name, not Jeremy, because we always Paul, sure. The boy, Paul the ghoul, and the ghost girl, who is Frida.
Rita.
No, Frida.
Frida.
Yeah, Frida. Like Frida Kahlo.
Frida.
And so that's when you learn about, you get some exposition obviously from them about, but wait, you're not a ghost. It's like, yeah, I'm a ghoul. Like, I guess that happens sometimes. Spirit gets stuck in the body. And you can do a back and forth dialogue about, there was this animated skeleton that told me all about it. I guess that's what I'm going to be one day if I don't take care of my flesh body.
And just then, Littlefinger just falls off.
Yeah. It's like, shit.
Just the bone left.
I better take, they said that might happen. I need to collect them up. My first class is, reattaching minor body parts.
My first lesson is home economics, where I'm going to learn to sew.
Yeah. And then I think you just have a few scenes that are your classes, right? You start, or maybe you've got the whole. Do you have the? No, I don't know if you go the big dinner sort of idea.
Nah,
I think you just
nah, because ghosts don't eat. That's right. The other thing they say. Right. Ghosts, there's no meals.
None of the creatures
you don't need to eat.
There's no sustenance required anymore,
except for ghouls.
Well, I don't think they need to.
Ghouls need to eat.
Well, okay, they need to eat. All right, yeah. ghouls, part of what they learn is, yes, technically ghouls need human flesh to survive, but our scientists have come up with a mostly working substitute that is not made from human flesh, and you will be provided
made from
with
stem
that.
cells.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, the lab-grown meat boom has really helped ghouls and their image, because they don't have to go around feasting on the flesh of the dead anymore. Because, obviously the civilized ghouls who went to the school would wait until, and maybe that was part of the team. That part of the team who went out to find fresh ghosts would also, when they could, gather up the body to feed all the ghouls in the school. So I think you get some class. Yeah, then you get to go to some classes and you meet this teacher that who is a bit of a grumpy old bastard, and you obviously have some more discussions with your roommates and with, what did we say, Paul and Frida, and you do.
I'm picturing that. The main dorm that you go up against all the time is like the Beetlejuice dorm or something like that.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice actually wasn't a real thing, but they just sort of, everyone really liked Beetlejuice, the movie, that they decided to call one of the dorms after Beetlejuice.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
it's technically a ghost, isn't it? Exactly. And then, I guess, who are the other people at the schools? Are they sort of cliques, different ghosts? Do the ghouls generally hang out together? And so Paul hanging out with you is
a no-no.
Is unusual. Yep. Yeah, or at least just, he gets looked down upon a bit by the other ghouls. Are the ghouls the jocks? No.
They see themselves as above everyone else, but really they're just insecure because, they know one day they're going to be skeletons.
Yeah. Okay. They're really vain because they have to take care of themselves, right? They're taught to take such perfect care of their bodies.
I'm just picturing, one of the teachers has had, 17 facelifts and her skin's, so taut across her face.
Oh, God. It's just
in this permanent, crazy smile, and you can see, her teeth bared at all times, and it's it is so disgusting. Definitely. And it's not just her face. It's any visible skin is like that. Yeah, for sure. It's the home ec teacher.
And that's just it shows the extent of how far that body vanity can go. It's actually a real self-esteem issue among schools the school. The school ghouls. All right, so then let's figure out what the conflict is. I think, do you come across in that classic schoolyard kind of way, you've got an antagonist at the high school who kind of picks on this group or decides that they don't like Terry?
Yeah, I think you do have you've definitely got someone external that is causing some issues, but it's also to do with someone internal to it as well. They're almost a mole sort of thing.
External to the school, you mean? Yeah,
as in there's an external threat to the school, and one of the antagonists is actually, sort of like a plant for this other group that is trying to cause havoc to the ghosts.
Do plants have ghosts? How sentient does a being have to be? Are there animal ghosts?
Surprisingly,
just
no.
Dolphins and elephants?
Surprisingly, no. I think because they haven't done too much with electricity, whereas humans have had Bluetooth in their ears and all this sort of stuff, and it's sort of all comes down to electricity.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's fine. I was kind of thinking then maybe domesticated animals who spend all that time in the same areas as humans might, but.
Yeah, so you can do that, but for some reason the wild animals, they don't remain on this planet.
Yeah, and definitely no ocean animals or air, flying animals particularly, unless they're caged birds and stuff.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that in the first week, which is probably the first part of the game, you have the head of the human state. You know, sort of like you've got
not
the prime minister or the. No, as in you got like the prime minister or whatever that comes down.
Can the head of the ghost state be a literal head? There are ghoul who like all that's left is their head. Or at least well, maybe that's the headmaster at this school.
It's literally a head. Yeah,
just literally a head.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, the head of the area that the school's released in, which would be the Prime Minister of Australia or whatever, turns up to actually give like a speech saying that I only found out about ghosts when I joined Parliament, and it is my duty to actually tell you that you have to keep this secret. It is your duty to actually make sure that the normal population does not find out about this.
Yes.
On punishment of, and then they show like some video of like ghosts being punished by being obliterated by electric weapons. Either they put them like in a Faraday cage sort of thing, and there's no electricity that can sort of get in there, and therefore they dissipate.
So it's a lack of electricity.
Yep. That's hence why the EMP causes.
Yeah. Okay. I was more thinking that was just that it's because it's such a huge electromagnetic pulse that it just kind of scrambles them to the point that
I think it's more the fact
stay
that
together anymore,
it's
but
the
it's
electricity.
actually the lack of electromagnetic radiation after the fact.
Yep.
Interesting. All right.
So
yeah, that could be something to explore for sure.
I still can't believe that our first click we came up with something that we've done the entire episode.
I don't even want to stop, man. Like,
no.
I know we're close to an hour, but. So, all right, is the threat then that someone does want to expose the ghost world to the living?
Yep. I'm kind of thinking it's almost like if you saw the Ghostbusters 2016 version, how you had that guy who wanted to basically become a ghost himself and become almost like the lord over the ghosts. That's your sort of antagonist that, you know, he's trying to amass an army so he can actually take over.
So maybe this person is competing with the team who does find the fresh ghosts, and is managing to scoop up these ghosts before they can, and bring them up, basically teach them differently.
Basically, he's going around and finding all the ghost clusters, like all the clusters of ghosts.
Just when a bunch of people die all at once, or
yes, right? I had to come up with another Ghostbusters.
Oh, ghost clusters. Right. Sorry, I didn't get the rhyme. Right.
I've been sitting on that for like the last 40 minutes or so.
But I do like that idea that they are and I think that's the big bad of the whole game is
whole series.
The whole series is, in a Voldemort-y fashion, amassing this army. But it's through grabbing them when they're, it's someone who realized these ghosts with no memories are a resource to be tapped.
Yep.
Because you can teach them whatever you want, as long as you don't basically expose them to things that will bring back their memories.
Yep.
They can just become an army of ghosts. And so, maybe there's all these vicious hauntings. So I think one thing we do need to establish is, because we talked about haunting being the big thing, but these ghosts generally seem pretty benevolent and friendly.
Yep.
Why do they want to haunt humans? Why is that a service that is provided? Do they only haunt bad humans? Is there something about scaring a human that is actually providing a service?
Yeah, I'm kind of going into the idea that we kind of talked about before, that hauntings are actually they're more the ghosts that didn't end up at the school. So I think that maybe as part of this, it's all about preventing hauntings. To try and keep it all secret.
Have haunting classes then at the school. The classes are more, it is around control. So you still have the ways to control your ectoplasmic manifestation or different things, but
and
I think it's fine, although in a way it does make it less fun.
In a way it makes it what?
In a way, it does make it less fun, because I did love the idea of all the classes around specific ways to haunt people. I think from a world
we can still go down that sort of path of this is practical skills that you may not use, but you still need to know anyway how to haunt in the right way. And it should be fun. It's all about sort of like the scary house at one of those Halloween parties or something like that. And it's all based around, it's fun scares, not kill scares.
So I had an interesting thought, and I don't think we want to follow it because we're actually at the end of our episode and it would blow up the whole thing. But we could keep all of the world building we've done, except your character is actually scooped up by the bad guy and taught to haunt. And it's only later that it's revealed that actually there's this whole world of ghosts out there, and you're basically a terrorist.
Well, there's
a literal terrorist.
There's no reason why this particular game can't be like the second episode that we've talked about the entire way through.
Yeah.
And that the first episode is actually the one that you just said.
Well, but I kind of... but I love the whole school thing and the roommates. And introducing the world in that way. Oh, it's tough. I guess it depends on... It's not just one person amassing an army. It is kind of this one school. There's this one school who persists in the old ways. Oh, well, they're not that old because of the whole ghost not being around that long, but who persists in the idea of haunting as the calling of ghosts. And so it still feels like a school. It's still that kind of somewhat fun, whimsical idea of a ghost school. But that's actually the big sort of twist, or not a twist, but just as you go along, you find out, there's this whole other world of ghosts out there, and they actually, mostly don't think this is a good idea and want to work with the living. I don't know. I think there's something interesting there. Then it still gives you the fun stuff of how to lurk in a corner and scare people.
What was it? I think it was like some of the early Call of Duty games or early Medal of Honor games that went between different players, different characters throughout the different theaters of war.
Right.
There's no reason why you couldn't actually have this as set up in chapters where, you sort of play two different people. You play one person being taught about, going through scaring sort of stuff, and then the other one's being taught like history of ghosts, and you're sort of able to,
or they're or they're an older, or they're a teacher or something right? Perhaps. Or you could just make it that the whole haunting stuff is just sort of the first act or so, and maybe there's almost not quite a raid, but you start to find out, you meet some students from these other schools and your eyes are opened a bit and you're like, oh shit, I actually don't want to be part of this, and you defect to the other school in a way.
So there's many different ways that we could go.
And then this is such a rich fucking idea that I just want to keep talking about and actually want to build and make and think of a story around. But we've been going for more than an hour just about on this one idea. So I guess we should finish it up.
Well, I reckon we should do one more.
One more. No. That was a fun episode. It was a little bit different. So to those who hang out for our, click pitch where we do, 5 or 6 or 7 games in one episode, apologies. I hope you enjoyed it well enough. Our world building. Our world building.
Fumbling through an adventure game premise.
Yeah, exactly. I keep not being able to think of the word, and Trevor is doing very well at jumping in when he needs to. But we will finish it up there. So if you want to find us online, you can go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. All of our stuff is there. Go to our Facebook and Twitter and shoot us some fun old messages. Let us know what you thought of this, and if you have ideas for story arcs, or hey, if you're an artist and you want to help us make a video game and not get paid for it and do it in your spare time, we're making one right now, and I think our next game might be this one. So, because I really want to build it now. But anyway, that'll be fun. Also, we are part of the 8-Bit Collective. Go to 8bit.net to see a bunch of other great podcasts as well. We are recording this on, or maybe just after, I'm not sure of how the time zones are working on that, International Podcast Day. And so, as a celebration of that, approximately 2 weeks after the fact when this comes out, go and check them out. Check out 8-Bit and see a bunch of other cool podcasts.
Well, for all those people out there who we met at PAX over this last weekend, thank you so much for all the support. You are amazing. This is 2 weeks in the past, so hopefully it all worked out well.
I'm sorry if I got too drunk and made a bit of an ass of myself. I'm sorry that I got a bit too drunk because we're doing this in the past tense and made an ass of myself. And I appreciate you, keeping that a secret forever and never speaking of it again.
Yes. So, not next week, but the week after will be our 150th episode. It will be probably the episode that we recorded live at PAX.
Yes, most likely. Hopefully we'll have some guests on. We haven't sorted that out yet.
But I'm sure that it was awesome because we were talking about it in the past tense. That was such a great episode.
I was about to say we're back in present tense of when recording time and time travel is hard and my brain hurts.
Check out the AGPN, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Awesome group of like-minded individuals that just want to help each other promote their podcasts, their Twitch streams, and everything else. So check out at AGP Network on Twitter or the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook. And finally, we'd like to thank Kurodust for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
That is correct. Thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I am Trevor Scott.
And I lost all my flesh.